You know what keeps most creators stuck? It's not lack of talent, it's not even lack of effort. It's something way more fundamental and honestly kind of terrifying when you realize it. Most people are out here posting every single day, writing threads, recording videos, showing up consistently, and doing everything the experts tell them to do. And yet they are still invisible. Nobody remembers them, nobody quotes them, and nobody thinks of them when the opportunity comes up. And here's what nobody wants to admit out loud. It's not because the content is bad, it's because they never actually decided who they are in the first place. Think about it right now, someone in your industry with half of your skills and a quarter of your experience is getting more attention than you, more clients, more followers, and more respect because they figured out one thing that you haven't yet. They know exactly who they are, they know what they stand for, and every single thing they put out into the world reinforces that identity. Meanwhile, you are guessing, experimenting, and trying different styles, different topics, different voices, hoping something will stick. And I get it, I have been there, we all have been there. But here's the good news, this is where everything changes for you. You don't need to reinvent yourself, you don't need to fake your origin story or manufacture your persona. You just need a clarity, a kind of clarity that makes your brand so obvious, so memorable, and so you that people can't help but pay attention. And that's exactly what we are doing today. By the end of this video, you won't just understand what the personal brand is, you will have a foundation, the real rock solid foundation that makes everything else effortless. Your content, it will flow naturally, your messaging crystal clear, and your positioning unforgettable. We are talking about the work most creators avoid because it feels hard, but the ones who actually do it, they are the ones whose brands you can't forget. If you have ever felt like you are doing everything right but somehow still feel invisible, this is where all changes. Let's get started. Alright, let's start with something that sounds complicated but is actually beautifully simple once you get it. And that's your unique value proposition. And now I know the term sounds like a corporate jargon, like something a consultant will throw around in a boardroom while charging five figures for a PowerPoint deck. But strip away the fancy language and here's what it really means. If you can't explain your value in one breath, nobody else will understand it. And that's the problem most creators face. They think about personal brand starts with the aesthetic, the color palette, the logo, the perfectly curated Instagram grid. But here's the truth. A strong personal brand doesn't start with how things look. It starts with clarity. Crystal clear clarity about what you are actually bringing to the table. And I am not talking about the job title. I am not talking about your credentials or your resume. I am talking about the transformation you create in people's life. Let me ask you something simple. When someone asks, so what do you do? What do you say? Do you say I am a content creator? Or do you say I am a founder? Or do you say I am a marketer? Because here's the thing, nobody cares about the labels, they care about the outcomes. They care about what happens because you exist. So instead of thinking about what you do, think about what you help people do. That's where your brand actually starts. Let's start with answering few questions. What exactly do you help people do? Let's make this concrete. Maybe you help people grow on LinkedIn without spending 6 hours a day on a platform. Maybe you help brands tell stories that people actually remember. Maybe you help founders scale their business without sacrificing their sanity. Whatever it is, your value proposition starts with the transformation, not the process, not the method, not the fancy framework, the result. And here's the quick test. Can you finish this sentence in a 10 seconds or less? I help people with dash. If you are stumbling, if you are adding qualifiers, and if you are adding explanation, well, it depends, and that's your first sign. Your brand isn't unclear to other people because you don't get it on the first place. It's unclear to the people because you haven't defined it yet. And look, I'm not saying this to feel you bad. I'm saying this because this is fixable. Right now, all you need is honesty. What do people actually come to you for? What problems do they have before they meet you, and what changes after they work with you, consume your content, or follow your advice? That's your transformation. And once you nail that down, everything else will get easier. Second question is, who is the transformation for? Alright, here's where most people panic. Because the instinct is to say everyone. Everyone can benefit from what I do. Everyone could use my help and everyone is my audience. And I get it, it feels safer that way. It feels like you are not leaving money on the table or limiting your potential. But here's the reality, your brand becomes magnetic the moment you stop trying to attract everyone instead of committing to the right people. Think about the creators you love, the one whose content you never miss, the one you recommend to the friends without even thinking about. Do they speak to everyone? No, they speak to you. And that's the magic of it. When you try to be for everyone, you end up being for no one. And when you are specific about who you serve, the right people feel seen. They feel understood. They feel, wait, this person gets me. So let me ask you something. Who naturally trusts your voice? Who resonates with your experience? Who listens to you without effort? Maybe it's founders who bootstrap that first business. Maybe it's introvert creators who hate self promotion. Maybe it's corporate professionals who want to build a side brand without burning out. Whoever it is, that's your people. And more clearer you define them, the more powerful you can serve them. Well, third question is, what makes your approach different or better? Now we get to the fun part. The part where your story, your background, your wins, your failures all come together. Because here's what most people don't realize, your difference isn't something you need to invent, it's already there. You just need to articulate it better. Maybe you learned everything the hard way. No shortcuts, no silver spoon, just trial and error. Two people both teach LinkedIn growth. One is a corporate marketer with a decade of agency experience, and other is a former engineer who figured out LinkedIn while building a side project. Same topic, same platform, but completely different brands. Why? Because their approach is different, their perspective is different, their stories are different, and that's what makes them both valuable to the different people. Your job isn't to get better than everyone else at everything. Your job is to be undeniably you. So ask yourself, what's your unfair advantage? What do you know that other people don't? What have you lived through that shapes how you see the world? And that's your age. When you combine it with your transformation and your audience, you have got a value proposition that's impossible to ignore. Alright, let's bring this together. I want you to complete this line. I help dash achieve dash through dash. Fill in the blanks. First blank, who you serve. Second blank, the transformation you create. Third blank is your unique approach. Here's the example. I help introverted founders build authority on LinkedIn through storytelling instead of constant posting. See how specific that is. You immediately know who is it for and what outcome is and what makes the difference. That's a strong value proposition. And if you can nail that sentence, if you can say it with a confidence and clarity, you have done more branding work than 90% of the internet. And seriously, most people never get this clear. They just keep posting, hoping something eventually resonates. But you are building on a solid ground now. And everything that comes next, your content, your messaging, your opportunity flows from this foundation. Hey, quick thing before we keep going. If you are already getting clarity on this, if this video is helping you rethink your entire approach to the personal branding, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Because this playlist, it's designed to turn you into a real authority, not just a content machine cranking out posts, but someone the people actually remember and respect. And I don't want you to miss any part of it. We are going deep on every aspect of building a founder brand that matters. So subscribe and let's keep building. Alright, now we are getting into something most creators completely overlook. And honestly, it's the most powerful part of your entire brand. That's your story. Here's something you might have not realized. People don't follow you because of your expertise. They follow you because of your story. Think about it. You have probably seen a dozen of people with the same credentials, same knowledge, and same skills. But there is only one or two you actually care about because somewhere in their journey they lived a moment that mirrors your own. They struggle with something you are struggling with. They overcome something you are trying to overcome. They get you, and that's the connection. That's not built with the tips and or tricks. It's built with the story. Your story is the shortcut to trust. It's the reason people feel like they know you before even they meet you. It's why some creators feel relatable while others feel distinct, and honestly, it's a kind of a fake. Well, here's the good news, your origin story doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to sound like a movie script. It doesn't need something like a life or that moment or even the rock bottom breakdown. It just need to be real. Because the moment that shape your belief, they are usually quieter than you think. Let me walk you through how to structure all of this. Let's start with the moment before. Every good story starts with the before. Who were you before the transformation? What problem were you facing and what confusion, frustration, or pain point you were trying to solve? This isn't about painting yourself as a victim or exaggerating your struggles. It's about honesty. Maybe you are stuck in the corporate job that drained you. Maybe you are posting content for months without a zero traction. Maybe you are watching everyone else seems to get it while you feel completely lost. Whatever it is, that's your starting point. And here's why this matters. When people see themselves in your before, they start paying attention. Because if you were once where they are now, then maybe, just maybe, you can help them get to where you are now. Second, the trigger. Now we get to the turning point. What happened that forced you to take action? Was it a failure that finally broke you, a conversation that shifted your perspective, a realization that you couldn't keep going the way you were expecting? And this is the moment everything changed. And it doesn't have to be dramatic, it just has to be true. Maybe you lost a client, maybe your messaging was all over the place, maybe you read something that made you realize you have been approaching your brand all along. Maybe you just woke up one day and decided enough was enough. That trigger is powerful, not because it's cinematic, it because it's relatable. We have all had those moments, those breakdown points, those wake up calls. And when you share yours, people think, yes, I felt that too. Third is the journey. This is the messy middle, the part where you didn't have it all figured out yet, where you tried things that didn't work, where you have made mistakes, where you have learned the hard way. Most creators skip this part. They jump straight from problem to solution, from struggling to success. But here's the thing, the journey is where people actually connect with you because nobody relates to the perfection, they relate to the process. So, talk about what you have tried, what you have learned, what you failed at, where you grew, and maybe you spent 6 months posting content that nobody care about before you figured out what actually resonates. Maybe you tried to copy other people's style before you found out your own voice. Maybe you had to unlearn everything you thought you knew about branding. And that's the good stuff, that's the humanity, and that's when the people see that you struggle just like they are struggling. They trust you more, not less. Fourth is the belief. Here's where your story becomes your brand. Every strong personal brand stands on a set of beliefs, not just strategies, not just tactics. Belief. Your belief guides your content, your decision, your message, and your entire persona. So ask yourself, what do you stand for? What do you refuse to compromise on? And what do you believe about your industry that others don't talk about enough? Maybe you believe that your personal branding doesn't have to feel fake or performative. Maybe you believe that consistency matters more than perfection. Maybe you believe that real authority comes from depth, not volume. And whatever your beliefs are, they are what separates you from everyone else saying the same thing. Because two people can teach the same skill, share the same advice, and target the same audience. But if their beliefs are different, their brand will feel completely different. Your beliefs are your filters. They determine what you talk about and what you ignore, what you promote and what you push back against, what you celebrate and what you criticize. And when your audience understands your belief, when they think that's exactly how I feel or that's what I needed to hear, you have built a connection that no marketing strategy can replicate. Let me tell you something most people get wrong about personal branding. They think it's about positioning yourself as an expert, the authority, the person who has it all figured out. And sure, the expertise matter, but here's what matters more than expertise. It's relatability. People follow experts, but trust people who have been there where they are. Your story isn't about impressing people, it's about inviting them into your world. It's about showing them that you understand that struggle before you have lived it. It's about proving that transformation is possible because you are the living proof. So don't hide your story, don't downplay your journey. Don't skip over the messy part in the favor of your highlight reel. Because those messy parts, those are where your brand becomes real. The real is what people remember. Now let's take a step back and look what we have built today. You have defined a unique value proposition. You know what transformation you create, you know who you create it for, and what makes your approach different. That's your clarity. You have crafted a origin story. You have mapped out the movement that shaped your belief and the journey that brought you here. That's your connection. And when you combine clarity with connection, when you know who you are and what you articulate in a way that resonates, you have got the foundation of the personal brand that people can't forget. This isn't about logo or color palette or perfectly curated fits. It's about the substance. It's about knowing yourself so deeply that everything you create, every post, every video, and every conversation reinforces who you are. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you have this foundation, everything else get easier. Your content ideas will flow naturally because you know what you stand for. Your messaging will become effortless because now you know you are not guessing anymore. Your positioning becomes magnetic because you're clear, consistent, and undeniably you. So, if you're feeling invisible, if you have been working hard but not getting the results you want, it's not because you are not talented. It's not because you are working hard enough, but because you skipped this part. But now you are not skipping it anymore. You have built a foundation that every unforgettable brand is built on. And trust me, everything that comes next is going to feel completely different now. Now, here's where things get really interesting because now you have built a foundation of who you are and why your brand matters. It's time to build a how you show up in the world. In next video we are diving deep into something most founders and creators never even think about: the authority archetypes. We are breaking down the 8 archetypes that shape the successful founder and creator brand: the hero, sage, the outlier, and the caregiver. And by the end, you will know exactly which persona fits your mission, your style, and your voice. So your brand becomes unmistakably yours. And you're also going to craft your entire voice, tone, and vocabulary. The way the people instantly recognize you before they even see your name. Because here's the thing, right now you have a clarity. But in the next video, we are turning that clarity into personality that people can't ignore. And this is where your brand stops being accidental and starts being intentional. This is where you stop sounding like everyone else and start sounding like most interesting version of yourself. So make sure you are subscribed because the next video is where everything clicks. I will see you there.